It was supposed to be a peaceful afternoon, a rare family barbecue at my parents' country house. The smell of grilled corn filled the air, kids ran across the lawn, and classic jazz hummed in the background. I had dressed my son Mason in his favorite blue polo shirt, the one he insisted made him look grown up. He was 6, sweet, timid, and still afraid to dunk his head underwater. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video? We had arrived a little late traffic and potty breaks, and already my sister Brittany was in full performance mode, twirling in her designer sundress and sipping sparkling water like she was starring in a reality show. She always thrived on being the center of attention, the golden child, the fun aunt. But lately her jokes had gotten crueler, sharper especially when aimed at me or my son. Brittany was child-free by choice and made sure to announce it at every opportunity. "I prefer things that don't scream, drool, or depend on me for survival," she once said at Thanksgiving, to raucous laughter from my dad and eye rolls from me. I stayed calm that day, just like I stayed calm when my parents gifted Brittany a vacation to Cabo for her birthday while forgetting my son's. Just like I stayed calm when Mom gave Brittany a framed baby photo of me and said, "You always made the best expressions, but now your sister's just tired." So I kept my head down that day by the pool. I watched Mason as he waddled across the edge, gripping a paper plate with one hot dog and a few grapes. He was so careful, 'cause he always was. I turned away for 2 seconds to ask Mom where the lemonade was. Then I heard the splash. I froze. People gasped. I turned. Mason wasn't on the edge anymore. He was in the deep end, arms flailing. "Oh my God!" I screamed, bolting across the patio. I didn't even take my shoes off before diving into the water. His little hands were barely above the surface by the time I reached him. I wrapped my arm around his chest, paddled to the steps, and yanked him out, coughing and crying. He clung to me like a barnacle. Water dripped from his soaked polo and into my lap. My heart was thundering. Then I heard it. Laughter. Not just any laughter, Brittany's. That sharp, cruel, echoing laugh that always came just before a joke she thought was hilarious. "Oh, relax," she smirked, holding up her phone. "It was just a little nudge. He looked like he needed to cool off. And what's the point of having a pool if no one uses it?" My mouth dropped open. I looked to my mom, then my dad. Dad sipped his beer. "Well, he should learn to swim anyway. The world won't always wait for you to be ready." Mom added, "Honey, don't make this bigger than it is. Brittany's just playful, always has been." Playful? My son nearly drowned. And they stood there defending her, laughing it off. As Mason clutched me, sobbing and shivering, his lips were blue, his eyes wide with betrayal, and all I could think was, he'll remember this. He'll remember that they laughed. I wrapped him in a towel and carried him to the car without another word. As I buckled him in, I saw him mouth something quietly to himself in the rearview mirror. Why did Auntie hate me? Something inside me broke. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. But a switch flipped, and in the silence of that drive home, I made a decision. Brittany may think she's invincible. My parents may think their favoritism will go unchecked forever. But they just kicked open the door to a fight they won't see coming. And I wasn't going to get even with yelling. I was going to do it the quiet way, the legal way, the way that would make them wish they'd never touched my son. The next morning, Mason woke up with a fever, likely from the pool shock and stress. I called out of work, placed a cool towel on his forehead, and sat beside his bed with silent fury coursing through me. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying the moment of the splash, the silence, the laughter. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Brittany's voice. Can he even swim? I was done being the quiet one, the obedient daughter, the pushover sister. I had spent too long trying to keep the peace, letting them walk all over me for the sake of family. But this time, they hurt my son. So I opened my laptop. First, I requested the footage. I remembered seeing one of those home security cameras mounted near the back patio of my parents' house. I called the local service provider and confirmed that yes, recordings were stored digitally for 30 days. With a little back and forth and a legal pretext, I got access. There it was, crystal clear. My sister looking directly at the camera, grinning as she shoved Mason into the pool. And it got worse. You could see my dad glance, shrug, and sip his beer. You could hear my mom chuckling, "Oh, Brittany, not the dress," like it was just a fashion emergency. I downloaded the footage, sent a copy to my lawyer, and filed an emergency petition in family court. But this wasn't just about revenge. It was about protection. I'd never told anyone this before, but Brittany had a pattern. Years ago, she once accidentally locked our cousin's toddler in a pantry during a baby shower and then blamed the child for wandering. The family brushed it off. She was just being silly, Mom said. And last year, she nearly knocked a child over trying to get a front row seat at her influencer event. The kid's mom posted about it online but deleted it after Brittany offered her a sponsored gift basket. I had brushed it all aside. But now, with a 6-year-old mine crying in bed with chlorine burns in his eyes, I was done. My lawyer was a family law specialist named Dana Sharp, fearless and ready for war. We filed for a temporary restraining order against Brittany for Mason's protection, citing endangerment and emotional trauma. Then we went further. Because Brittany ran an online brand aimed at fun aunties, full of sponsored content, poolside parenting jokes, and chaotic but cute antics. She had partnerships with kids' toy companies, and I had a video that showed her putting a child's life in danger with a smirk on her face. Dana reached out to the brands. 2 responded within 24 hours. 1 terminated the partnership immediately. The other said they were reviewing the footage and reconsidering their brand alignment. Then I received the text from my mom. "Mom, why would you ruin your sister's job? It was just a misunderstanding. You're making a scene again." Me, "Your grandson nearly drowned and you called it a prank." "Mom, don't be dramatic. You were always jealous of Brittany." That night, I posted a simple message on my private Facebook account, just to my circle, not public. It read, "When your son is kicked into a pool as a joke, and everyone laughs, it stops being family and starts being danger. If silence protects abuse, then I'm done being quiet." People messaged me, former family friends, neighbors, even 2 of Brittany's old classmates who said she used to bully them relentlessly. One wrote, "She always got away with everything because she was pretty and rich." But I wasn't chasing sympathy. I was building a case. 3 weeks later, the court date came. Brittany strutted in wearing white like some kind of victim bride. My parents sat beside her like bodyguards. Me? I brought Dana. I brought the footage. I brought screenshots. I brought medical documentation of Mason's trauma, and I brought calm fury. When the judge watched the video slowed frame by frame, the courtroom went silent, except for Brittany's voice. "Can he even swim?" The judge looked over his glasses and said, "That was not a joke. That was reckless endangerment." My sister's face turned pale. My mom gasped. And the judge approved a protection order. But I wasn't done yet, because in the paperwork I had requested one more thing. Full eventual guardianship override for Mason in relation to my parents and Brittany. In simple terms, they would no longer have any legal access to Mason, not for babysitting, visits, medical emergencies, or school pickups without my written consent. It was rare, but in cases where child safety and family negligence overlap, the court could grant it. Dana stood and said clearly, "The family has proven they don't see a child's life as sacred. The court has the duty to make sure someone else does." And they did. The gavel came down. My sister lost her job deals. My parents lost access. Mason gained something none of them ever offered him: safety. But the final twist? As I was leaving the courtroom, Brittany called out, "You think you've won? You're nothing without drama. You'll be bored now." I turned, smiled, and whispered, "Then I guess I'll finally know peace." Weeks passed. My world got quieter, but it wasn't empty. It was peaceful. Mason was slowly healing. I enrolled him in swimming lessons with a gentle instructor who specialized in trauma recovery. At first, he clung to me, refusing to even dip a toe in. But one afternoon, he whispered, "Mom, watch me," and kicked his legs through the shallow water. I cried behind my sunglasses. We moved out of the duplex and into a cozy cottage near the lake, a place with silence, space, and no toxic laughter echoing through our walls. It was the first time in years that I felt like home belonged to me. But Brittany wasn't done. I got a legal notice. She was countersuing for character defamation and damaged reputation income. She claimed I cost her $80K in brand deals and online credibility. She even posted a video, crying into her ring light, saying, "I made one mistake, and my own sister turned the internet against me." But the internet had receipts. People flooded the comments with, "Mistake? You nearly killed a kid." One user reposted the security footage with captions and tagged every brand she had ever worked with. It went viral. Then came a twist I didn't expect. An investigative podcast reached out to me. They had been covering influencer scandals and wanted to feature Brittany's story, but more importantly, mine. I hesitated, but then they told me something else. Someone anonymously sent us evidence of Brittany's past, reports from her old school, complaints from brand interns, NDAs signed by ex-nannies. That someone, I found out later it was one of her ex-managers who finally had enough. The podcast aired. It didn't just talk about Brittany's pool stunt. It talked about the system that enabled her, the parents who laughed, the schools that excused her, the brands that hired her to represent fun family values. And people finally saw the truth. She was never playful. She was protected. I didn't watch the full episode. I didn't need to. Because by then, I had already withdrawn her lawsuit with one simple motion, a countersuit for harassment. My lawyer sent a final settlement offer. She took it, and agreed to a legal non-contact clause. She could never mention me, my son, or the incident publicly again. If she did, she'd face full legal consequences. But my favorite part? She had to pay my legal fees. Poetic justice didn't arrive in a limousine. It came in an email from her lawyer, subject line, "Settlement finalized." My parents never apologized, but I didn't wait for it. They sent a card for Mason's birthday. No gift, no apology, just a photo of them smiling with a note. "Hope he's feeling better. Family matters most." I tore it up. Because family isn't blood. It's not who you share last names with. It's who jumps in the pool after your child without thinking twice. One day, at the lakeside park, Mason asked, "Mom, are you still mad at them?" I knelt beside him and said, "No, baby, I'm not mad, I'm awake." He nodded like he understood more than I ever realized. And then he jumped in the water, unaided, fearless, free. As I watched my son swim under the open sky, I knew this wasn't just the end of a painful chapter. It was the beginning of our own story, far from the echoes of cruelty in a world we built, where love is loud and laughter is kind. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching